Welcome, Whisky Hunters, to the Linen Closet. Whisky Hunter here. Thanks for joining me today. We have got an action-packed episode. A lot packed into this small amount of time I've allocated for this. First thing we're going to do is a public service announcement. You got to get this if you can find it. Glendronach. Not any Glendronach. This is the 15-year revival. When I found this, I bought 5 of these. Yes, 5. Why would I buy 5 15-year-old Glendronachs? It's good juice. You can see I wrote a date on here. Why did I do that? I'm going to show you. Let's open this up. First of all, the price on this bottle is, I don't know, I have to look. You can see it, but I can't yet. Is $79.98. They're probably around $100. They're hard to find now, but they are still out on shelves. It doesn't look like there's anything special about this bottle, other than it's a 15-year-old Glendronach, which is good juice. However, and I recommend getting a flashlight and take this into the store, or carry one in your car and take it into the store so you can see this. There's a date that's etched onto the back of this bottle. It's, you can't really, it's very difficult to see, but if you have a flashlight, maybe it'll work for you. But right around here is a date. You probably can't see it through there, but the date on it says 2/3/2015. Now, what's important about that date? What's important is Glendronach closed for, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years while they retooled. And when this supposedly came out, the distiller was shut down. So the thing is, this 15-year bottle is really 20-year-old juice because the distiller was closed and they couldn't have bottled it at that time. The 2014 is 19-year-old juice. The 2013 is 18-year-old juice. The 2016 goes back to the 15-year-old. So if you see this in a store, I highly recommend you grab this. $100, 20-year-old juice. I grabbed 5 bottles when I found this. This is a buy it now bottle. It's really good. Really good whiskey. So look for it next time you're in a store. Maybe you'll come across one and you can let me know back to this episode, which I believe is number 26, and leave a comment if you have found one of these or you find one of these. All right, let's set this down here. So I'm going to tell you, I've told you before, I'm a whiskey guy. There's some bourbons I like, but for the most part, I'm really a Scotch guy. But I do pick up bourbons time to time, especially if I find older bourbons or an allocated bourbon sitting on a shelf, a Four Roses, a George T. Stagg, any of the BTAC, Buffalo Trace Antique collection, which is Pappy's and Eagle Rare, Eagle 17-year, and like I said, George T. Stagg, and there's a William LaRue Weller. There's a number of them. If you find them, get them, because they're worth a lot more in secondary prices. And what's great about them, if you don't drink them, is you can trade them for Scotch you like. And that's what happened. And I'll tell you that on Facebook, you meet some of the nicest people, especially in our whiskey and bourbon community. Everyone is just so nice. And I just mentioned the other day that I'd like to try something. Does anyone have a sample? And 4 people sent me a message. Sure, I can send you one. I can send you one. I go, let me send you something. No, let me just send it to you so you can try it. And they don't even know I have, I do YouTube reviews. They're just really nice folks. And there's just, seek out Scotch and bourbon communities on Facebook if you don't belong to any, and you'll really enjoy the information you get there and the camaraderie. Well, one of those people is a big reviewer, actually, and I had watched his reviews at the time, and I can't remember exactly. This is well before I did any blogging or reviews, and we befriended each other and started talking a lot on Facebook, and he was kind enough, as I'm mentioning, as some others, to send me some samples of stuff that I never tried. A couple of those things were 1966 40-year Tomental, sherry wood that you just can't find anywhere. A 40-year-old, just the most unbelievable whiskey, just so sweet and tasty. No wood to it. Tomental is known as a gentle giant, and there's a reason for it. Fortunately, I got a couple bottles of that that I have in the linen closet that I'll review one day. But one of the samples he sent me was an Octomore 6.3. And we were talking, he was telling me how at first the bottle wasn't really that great, really spicy. And then after some months, some longer months, it settled down. So he sent me this sample of Octomore 6.3. From this sample, I went out. Let me get this open. Oh, still got the plastic on it. I haven't opened this since I have a number of these samples. But let me take this off so you can really see this bottle. It's beautiful. This is the Octomore 6.3. This is the highest peated whiskey produced at 258 ppm. ppm stands for parts per million. That's the phenol level. Now, you know, you hear 40 ppms a lot. That's what you find in your Lafroigs and your Ardbegs, and it is high and it's very smoky. But at a certain point, ppm becomes linear. It's not like 40 ppm. Like this is 6 times, 7 times the strength of, or the smokiness. Like I said, it becomes linear after a while, and it sort of has a diminishing return. But 258 ppm is in your face smoky. And that's what we're going to be tasting today. But before I go further about this bottle, this friend that sent it to me, you may have seen his reviews. He goes by the Liquor Hound. I won't go into his real name, but he's just one of the nicest people that I've got to know. And his wife likes certain bourbon. And I happen to have a couple bottles of this certain bourbon. And he happened to have something that I really like. So this is kind of a Liquor Hound themed episode. He turned me on to this Octomore. He sent me a sample of this Octomore. He sent me some other samples. But he also, we also traded. That's why you pick up the bourbon when you find it, because you'll get lucky enough one day and trade it, if you so inclined to. He knew I love Macallan, and he happened to have this. How about that? This is a 1985 18-year-old in the tin, in the original container. Let me show you this bottle. Thank you, Liquor Hound. And we traded a bourbon for this. The 18-year-old today is so... In fact, here's an 18-year-old. I don't know if you can see the difference between that juice. Oh, you can. It's just way darker from back then. And you know, and before '89, and earlier they used Paxaret, and I've mentioned this before in some other reviews. Stop, kitty. Sorry. They used Paxaret in whiskey sprayed into the casks. You can see that, read up on it on my blog below in the comments, or in the description. There's a link to it. But yeah, so we traded this bottle. Love old Macallan. This is going to be so good when I open it. Thank you, Liquor Hound. Okay, let's get on to this tasting. All right. Octomore 6.3. It's a 5-year-old. It's 64% ABV. That's 128 proof. That is a strong, strong whiskey. It's bottled in 2014. It's 100% Islay barley. The barley actually comes from a farm called Octomore by the distillery. So it's all local. It's all ex-bourbon barrels. It's 258 ppm before distillation. So like and all Islas that have, or any Scotch that has that's peaty is before the ppm is before distillation. So this is Jim McCune's baby, who retired this past summer. Let's take a look at the legs of that. They're dropping, but it is oily. The color is an amber. There's no E150 caramel coloring added, and no chill filtration to Octomores. It's a deep copper amber color. Really nice. The nose. Oh, so when you first open this, it's too much. It's in your face, fiery, spicy, heavy ppm. We know it's heavy ppm, like I said, but it's very, very, very smoky. With time, and I'll tell you that this has been sitting, well, I've had the sample a while, but before the Liquor Hound gave this to me, this had been sitting months and giving it a chance to oxidize. And he recommends it, and as do I. I've tasted this straight from the bottle. It's too forward. It needs time to settle down. A lot of old whiskeys, I feel, get better with oxidation. This certainly does. The nose now is sweet. Even though it's 64% ABV, the ethanol from the alcohol is integrated with the whiskey. It's not burning your nose hairs off. It's very, very approachable. The smoke is not medicinal like Lafroig. It's campfire. The Port Charlotte PC series, the 5, the 6, the 7, which is one of my favorite Islas by Bruichladdich, is very similar. It's all campfire. It's meaty. You can tell you're going to be chewing this when you drink it. You get orchard fruits. There's apples and peaches and pears, oranges. It's buttery too. It's a really, really nice nose now that it's settled down. That spice that was there when you first open it is not there anymore. There's a cinnamon, but it's not a harsh in your face spice. Onto the palate. That peat plays. That peat is dancing. My tongue is a dance floor, and that peat is tap dancing. Wow. But it's not. It's not astringent, you know. It's there. You know it's there. But it's smooth, and it's sweet, and it's oily. I'm going to even say smoked meats. Meaty smoked meats, kind of like a smoker. You're out barbecuing, people got the meats on the smoker for hours. It's kind of like walking right past that smoker and getting that aromatic and that flavor, that aromatic hits your taste buds, and makes you salivate. You can taste the smoked meat before you even taste it. Let's take another sip now that our taste buds are kind of acclimated to the high ppm and the high ABV. This is a grown-up person's whiskey. This is not a beginner's whiskey. If someone wants to get into peat, this would not be the first whiskey I'd recommend to them. But certainly, it's a great whiskey. On the onset, even the second sip, it's very powerful. Your mouth is alive with this whiskey. It's not timid. Again, it's not astringent, but you know you've got something strong floating over your mouth. It's coating your whole mouth. It's honeyed, it's briny. It's fresh cut grass. Salted caramels. It's tasty. You can taste the orchard fruits, and that smoke, like I said, integrates really well with the fruit. It fills your mouth with smoke, but it's not overbearing. This would be a great dram if you did a little fire at your house on a chilly night and sat out by your fire with your friends. It'd be a perfect dram to sit around talking, reminiscing, and enjoying this dram. I am not, because I've done this before, I am not putting any water in this. Water, it didn't take water well. It altered the taste too much, and it really, if you're going to put a drop in, you're going to have to let this sit another 30 minutes to really integrate. And you need to make sure, even though this is 5 years old, when you pour this dram, let it sit out 30 minutes. If you buy the bottle, pour a couple ounces out so it's at shoulder level, or the fill's at shoulder level, and then let it sit a month or a couple months to really oxidize and become what it can be, and that's this. I'd rate this a 91. It's pretty damn good. Hey, well, thanks for joining me for this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please please subscribe if you haven't, and share with your friends. Below is a link for my blog website, and also for my Instagram and Twitter, which I'm trying to figure out. I'm still trying to figure out how to use Twitter. Not quite sure how the whole thing works, but I'll get it. Thanks again for joining me. I'll have something real special on the next review, and I'll see you next time in the linen closet.